Picture this. You wake up in an old city. No toilet, no sink, no trash truck, no Febreze. Just you, a wooden bucket, 40,000 neighbors, several thousand animals, and a street that is slowly becoming soup. And not the good soup. This is the problem with old cities. Humans invented civilization, built walls, markets, temples, castles, roads, armies, laws, money, art, and then immediately ran into one tiny issue. Where do we put all the poop? Because a village can kind of hide this problem. One guy makes a mess behind a tree. Nature handles it. A few animals walk by. Everybody moves on. But a city is different. A city is thousands of people packed together, all eating, drinking, working, sweating, peeing, pooping, throwing out scraps, keeping animals, dumping water, and somehow pretending this is normal. This is where we introduce the most important math in history. Poop math. 1 person is manageable. 10 people is annoying. 100 people is a problem. 40,000 people is no longer a town. That is a biological weapon with a marketplace. And old cities had a lot more than people. They had horses, pigs, dogs, chickens, goats, oxen, random animals standing in the road like they paid rent. And every single one of them was also contributing to the city's smell budget. So before modern toilets, people had options. Not great options, but options. First, the chamber pot. The chamber pot was basically a toilet bowl you kept inside your house, which sounds convenient until you remember you still had to empty it. It was the world's worst reusable container. You'd wake up, use the pot, look at it, and go, well, this is future me's problem. Future me hated you. Then there were pre-Vs. A pre-V was an outdoor toilet, usually over a pit. You sit. You pray the wood is strong. You try not to think about what is happening under you. If you lived in a castle or a big building, sometimes the toilet was built into the wall. Fancy. Very royal. Still just a hole with confidence. Then there were cesspits. A cesspit was basically a hole where waste collected. And when it got full, somebody had to clean it. That job existed. A real human being had to show up and say, "Yep, looks like the poop hole is full." These workers moved waste out of the city, often at night. Which is why human waste was sometimes called night soil. That name makes it sound way more charming than it deserves. Night soil sounds like something a wizard buys. It was not. It was bucket poop. And the wild part is, waste was not always useless. Sometimes it could be used as fertilizer. So somewhere in history, a man looked at a cart full of human waste and thought, business opportunity. Respect the hustle. But human waste was only one part of the old city smell. This is where people get it wrong. They imagine old streets were just poop highways. And yeah, sometimes streets were disgusting. But the smell was a whole team effort. You had horse manure, pig manure, mud, rotting food, fish scraps, butcher waste, smoke from fires, dirty water, garbage, dead animals, leather tanning. And leather tanning was especially nasty. Making leather could involve urine, animal skins, rotting materials, and smells powerful enough to make your ancestors file a complaint. So when someone says, old city smelled bad, don't imagine one smell. Imagine a smell orchestra. The violins are fish guts. The drums are horse poop. The flute is a mysterious puddle nobody wants to identify. And standing in front of the whole thing is one tired guy with a shovel. Now, some places did better than others. Ancient Rome is the famous example. Rome had aqueducts, public baths, public latrines, and sewers. The Romans looked at the problem and said, what if the poop went underground? Which, to be fair, is a huge upgrade. The Cloaca Maxima was one of Rome's famous drainage systems. It helped move water and waste out of parts of the city. Very impressive. Very Roman. Very look at our giant tunnel. But it was not modern plumbing. A lot of Roman sewers were more about drainage than clean sanitation. And a sewer that carries waste into a river is not making the problem disappear. It is just giving the problem swimming lessons. Roman engineer walks in like, behold, we have solved the poop. Narrator looks at river. The river is brown. No Marcus, you moved it. And public toilets were also not exactly relaxing spa experience. Roman public latrines could be rows of seats with people sitting next to each other. No stalls. No privacy. Just a bunch of dudes having the worst group project in history. Imagine trying to have a normal conversation in there. Nice weather today. Please never speak to me again. Still, Rome deserves credit. Compared to many places, Roman water systems were impressive. But if you teleported there expecting a clean modern bathroom, you'd be humbled fast. Now we need to fix another myth. Medieval people were not just walking around like, garbage in the drinking water sounds delicious. They had noses. They knew filth was bad. They may not have understood germs the way we do, but they knew that waste should not be where people lived, walked, shopped, or drank. Many towns had rules. Don't dump waste in the road. Don't block drains. Don't throw disgusting stuff where your neighbors have to deal with it. Clean this area. Move that pile. Stop making the street unbearable. Very reasonable rules. The problem was enforcement. Because making a rule is easy. Actually stopping every tired, broke, annoyed person from dumping a bucket where they should. That is harder. City council would be like, new law, no throwing waste in the street. And some guy named Old would be like, cool. Then wait until nobody was looking and absolutely ruin an alley. Old is why we have regulations. So old cities were not usually lawless poop festivals. They were more like constant cleanup battles. The city wanted to be clean. The people wanted the smell to be someone else's problem. The animals did not care. The drains were overwhelmed. And the waste worker was one bad day away from quitting forever. Then there is the twist. Some ancient cities were shockingly advanced. The Indus Valley cities, like Mohenjo-Daro, had impressive water and drainage systems thousands of years ago. Many houses had access to wells. Wastewater could run through drains. Some homes had bathing areas and systems that carried dirty water away. So while some later cities were still fighting puddle demons, Mohenjo-Daro was sitting there like, yeah, we already have drainage. That is the part history class does not always make clear. Progress is not a straight line. People did not go from dumb cave people to slightly less dumb medieval people to us with toilets. Some ancient cities solved problems in ways that were genuinely clever. Then other places, later on, were still looking at a bucket like it was cutting-edge technology. History is weird like that. But even when cities had rules, drains, workers, and clever systems, they were missing one huge thing. Germ theory. For most of history, people did not know that tiny invisible organisms could spread disease. They blamed bad air, bad smells, rot, filth, swamps, gross vapors. Basically, if something smelled like death, people assumed it might bring death. And honestly, not the worst guess. If your alley smells like a monster's armpit, something bad probably is happening. But smell was not the whole problem. Clean-looking water could still be dangerous. A nice peaceful well could still be contaminated. Tiny germs were walking around like invisible criminals. Meanwhile, everyone was yelling at the stink cloud. The stink cloud was guilty of being disgusting. But the germs were the real little villains. That is what made old cities so dangerous. It was not just that things smelled bad. It was that drinking water, waste, animals, mud, food scraps, and people were all packed together in one giant messy system. A city is amazing because it brings people together. But before modern sanitation, it also brought everyone's problems together. Your neighbor's garbage became your smell. Your street's puddle became your shoes. Your town's drainage problem became your drinking water. And one guy with a bucket could ruin everybody's afternoon. So were old cities literally giant toilets? No, that is too simple. A lot of people were trying. They built drains. They made rules. They hired cleaners. They dug pits. They moved waste. They complained about smells. They punished people. They invented systems. They did not just wake up and choose sewer goblin life. But without modern plumbing, trash pickup, water treatment, toilets, sewer systems, and germ theory, every big city had the same basic problem. Too many humans. Too close together. Too much waste. Not enough places to put it. And that is the real horror. Not monsters. Not dragons. Not haunted castles. Just a city full of people, all needing to use the bathroom before anyone invented a good bathroom. So next time your toilet flushes, show some respect. That little swirl is thousands of years of humans saying, "Please get this away from me." And if modern plumbing disappeared tomorrow, give it 3 days, your town would not become a medieval fantasy world. It would become a group project called "Who Put That in the Street?" And everyone would fail.